In today's conversation, I would like to explore with you two key elements that I have seen, and I've worked with thousands of people over the years since 2013. As you may know, I built an IT business to success from 2009 to 13, and then I got into consulting, and then I started another YouTube channel, not this one, but another one in 2013, which I grew to success. And all of these three areas generated for me a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, doing what I love to do in an effortless, fun, joyous, flow-based way rather than a stress and frustration way. And you could do the same as well. And to contribute to your journey, I released this book here. It's called The Direct Path to $1 million, turn what you already have into a fortune, built on the foundation of building 3 successful businesses and working with thousands over the years. And today I would like to explore with you 2 key points that I see either consciously are valued in generating a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, or through conversations that I've had with various business owners, entrepreneurs, business teams, etc. They started to value, and then when they started to value this, what happened was their revenues increased. They achieved their numbers easier, faster. They started to generate more so of a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. All by having a conversation about these 2 points. And that's what I would like to have with you today. Now, I discuss these 2 points in my book. If you haven't gotten a copy of my book, I recommend doing so. I'll link in the description to it. Let's explore it further. Now, 2 key points that I would like to explore. I'll start with point number 1. In the book, I emphasize your way is the best way. Your way is the best way. And I put a lot of focus on this book on what is generating the income, what is generating the revenue. And it tends to lean more towards the side of innovation, sales or client acquisition, and marketing. And then I segment accordingly. I say prospecting, lead generation, client acquisition, ongoing relationships with existing clients. And you could use business terminology if you would like, or you could put that aside and see that what is happening is wonderful relationships are being formed in business with prospects, with clients. And although we can relate this over to team members, vendors, I'd like to focus more on clients today. Wonderful relationships are being orchestrated, and there's a lifelong relationship happening with them, which then what happens is they, through your facilitation of delivering wonderful products and services, creating products and services, or partnering with businesses to create products or services, or referring people, referring products or services, offering products or services to people who benefit greatly. What happens is not only do they benefit greatly, but you go on to make a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. So relationships is key. Now, your way of relationships is the best way. Your way of discovering these relationships, orchestrating the wonderful service that they get, creating the products and services, and orchestrating the fulfillment of that is the best way. And not only do they benefit greatly from your initial offering of product or service, they can come back and engage in a long-term relationship with you. So your way is the best way, and long-term relationships. Now, we use terminology in business called lifetime client value. You may be aware of this, you may not. Also known as customer lifetime value. Refers to the total revenue you can expect to generate from a single client throughout the entire duration of your relationship with them. What I have seen, and this has been true in my business and also with the entrepreneurs that I've worked with, is, and the businesses that I consulted in, is that one client can come back and buy additional products and services. So rather than forcing them into buying whatever it is, let's say high ticket program, what we find is, like with every relationship, it gets nurtured through involvement, engagement, and what happens is they naturally progress, as in they get the results of whatever your product or service is that you're offering. And then they are more likely, or they're open to additional products or services that you have, or they may take you up on a business that you can refer them to, and you can take a percentage on that deal or a referral fee because they have a wonderful relationship with you. They enjoy working with you. Now, what ends up happening then is, rather than, let's say, if a person was trying to force them to buy a $5,000 program, over the course, as a result of investing in something else, maybe a $200 program, might not sound like a big sale if you're doing consultative sales, but what we have seen is they buy that program, they benefit greatly, and then later on they buy the $5,000 program, or they buy a $1,000, another offer, and then maybe a $8,000 or $10,000 done for you service. So over the course, the client can end up investing tens of thousands of dollars by considering and valuing the natural flow of relationships. Now, the interesting thing is, we as human beings, we're naturally like this. We're naturally like this. If we try to force people into a rigid funnel or a rigid process, business process, because you think that that's the way to do it, what may happen then, and I've seen this happen many times, is we might not value that we actually know our natural style. And so what I teach in business is discovering what your natural style is, your natural way. And again, it's articulated in the book and in my 5 programs. And we discuss this in Flow-Based Prosperity, my group coaching and mastermind service. If you're interested, I'll link in the description to it. What I like to do is discover with you your natural style. And your natural style, in a very flow-based way, in a very intuitive way, results in taking your prospects from curiosity and they're interested, let's have a conversation, or leads, let's have a conversation, and convert them into clients, and then engage in a long-term relationship in a way that is natural and authentic for you, that does not involve strong arming or forcing them into buying. And not only is this effortless client acquisition, it is also very fun, and the prospects, the leads, the clients don't feel like they're getting taken advantage of. Don't feel like this is a transaction where you're trying to get money out of them. Rather, they see this as a starting point for a relationship, and also they see it as an ongoing relationship. Your way is the best way because it aligns with your natural rhythm, your genius, and your joy. And anything built in that alignment is more likely to be the following 3. Number 1, sustainable. You won't burn out. You'll have a lot of fun. I've been an entrepreneur full time for 16 years, and I have never burnt out. There were moments prior to making flow a priority in 2017 where I would go in that direction, a little bit more stress and force-based. But that was because I was doing things that I genuinely did not desire to do. I was forcing myself to do those things because I thought that that was the only way to generate income or fulfill on a particular service or in relation to innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, leadership. There were different things that I was doing that I thought I need to do, must do, should do. I was forcing myself to do it because I watched some videos or read some books that said, you need to, you should, you must do it. And although that can be helpful for some individuals, as I say, your way is the best way. What I discovered was that wasn't my natural way. So what I teach is discover your natural way. And that's why I put together this channel here. This channel is not designed to tell you to do these things absolutely, and that's the only way you'll build a business. This channel is exploratory. And having worked with thousands of businesses, I've seen so many, thousands and thousands of combinations and permutations of different ways of growing a business and making a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. And what I found is that not only can you build a wonderful business, but you can also do it in a fun, joyous, flow-based way that feels natural to you. So it is sustainable over the long term. That's what I found. So we're talking about 2 points. Point number 1, your way is the best way. And we're going to tie them together because there's relatability in these 2 points. Number 2, scalable. You'll naturally want to improve and expand because your style feels good to you. So in my book, I talk about optimization, automation, delegation, or elimination in part or in whole or in combination. That is how we go about scaling a business. You can either optimize what you're doing, you can automate what you're doing, you can delegate what you're doing, you can eliminate what you're doing. Why do a thing that does not necessarily need to be done? And so in part or in whole or in combination, in the areas of innovation, sales, marketing, operations, finance, and leadership. Now, one doesn't have to be perfect at it because, here, let's look at it this way. You are perfect as you are now, as I teach on my other channel. The fact that you exist is perfection. And what we're talking about here is not perfectionism, trying to be perfect. You are already perfect. What naturally unfolds is your way, your style of optimization, automation, delegation, elimination, part or in whole or in combination. That's the rhyme that I like to use when I consult. And because you genuinely love what you do, because you go about your business, your style, which just so happens to be the flow-based style. As mentioned, for me, in the earlier stages, I was doing force-based things. And it wasn't necessarily producing results. And if it was producing income, I couldn't want to do that again and again. I couldn't force myself, couldn't trick myself and convince myself. That would be faking it. And that's not what I teach. I teach your style is the best style. You are already perfection, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You be you. And the natural result of you being you, the natural result of being is a wonderful business that generates a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, where you benefit greatly, your clients benefit greatly, everyone benefit greatly. And we genuinely desire to scale that business. We genuinely desire to do it. And not only as a result of you being you is sustainability for your business. You won't burn out. The natural result, because I stopped doing those things, and then flow became the way for me. It's also scalable. And number 3, it's also magnetic. The appearances of magnetic, which I talk about on my other channel, I recently did a video on it, is the natural result of you being you. I'll link in the description to that video. Clients, team members, vendors, business partners, mastermind partners naturally show up. They naturally appear. So specifically, we're talking about clients here. So clients resonate with authenticity, your style. When your business reflects your essence, people feel it. So this means, and we can look at it the following. I'd like to tie this into another key point, lifetime client value, in a moment. Yet it's important that we lay a foundation so that we can really value our style as the best style. And while there's so many different ways of creating a business, there's thousands and thousands of books and videos, etc. To release identification to any confusion in mind, follow your heart and intuition, as Steve Jobs said. He said it in his commencement speech. I would listen to it over and over again because there was times where I was doubting. I was forcing myself to do something I did not want to do. And then I said, well, I trust Steve did a number of things right. He built a very successful business. Could this be one of the things that he intentionally infused in a commencement speech, knowing that entrepreneurs would be listening to that? And yes, it turns out. 16 years of applying what Steve Jobs had put in his commencement speech. Not only did I see it in what I was involved with, I seen it in the thousands of businesses that I work with. And I just encourage them to be more of who they are. And what I noticed is their businesses continue to grow in a fun, joyous way. So this sustainability, scalability was the natural result of being. And because they got to be themselves in their business initiatives, of course, that's attractive for clients. It's just like when you go to a wonderful restaurant and everyone in there loves what they do. You naturally want to go back there again. And so lifetime client value, the repeat business, again and again and again, they generate way more revenue from those clients, and then also the referrals, beyond just a transactional kind of approach of, look, let's just get a lot of people in there and take their money and serve them some food, etc., and they don't want to come back. And that's not just true for restaurants. That's true for any kind of business. And again, I explore this in great detail. We're going to touch upon this at a high level in this video. And then the other videos on this channel, which I put in a wonderful playlist, I'll link in the description too. I recommend watching it. We cover all kinds of nuances. So this means that if you're going to create products and services, consider the following. If you love teaching, then perhaps courses or group programs may be best path for you. Now, this might warrant an exploratory conversation between you and I. If you're interested in consulting and coaching, I'll link in the description to it as we get into the nuances. We cover nuances here to a particular degree. Otherwise, these videos would go on to be many hours. And rather than you be overwhelmed by lots of information, know that your way is the best way. Your way is the best way. And an exploratory conversation, which we can do one-on-one or in flow-based prosperity, can be very helpful, because that's where we can have a heart-to-heart. We can really get to the core of what's going on. That's naturally facilitating a lavish, steady, dependable income consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. But up to a particular degree, you can say, if you love teaching, then courses or group programs might be your best path. And in the book, I talk about combining these as well. So it's not necessarily just one way. It's a number of ways combined into your way, which is the best way. If you're a deep listener, then one-on-one coaching may be your zone. If you love building things in silence, then digital products might bring you joy. If you thrive in social settings, then live workshops or community-based models might energize you. And there's overlap in these areas, as you might tell. So now that we talked about your way being the best way to a particular degree, let's talk about how this relates to lifetime client value. So again, lifetime client value, also known as customer lifetime value, refers to the total revenue you can expect or you can ballpark to generate from a client throughout the entire duration of your relationship with them. And not to limit this, but this can go on to way higher numbers, as I have seen. I've seen my IT clients buy one service, then buy additional services, and I sold a number of my clients. I transitioned them, either way you want to look at it, over to an IT firm that took over the clients, and they give me a percentage on the revenue that they acquired from those clients for a whole year. That was a sweet deal. So not only is the revenue generated from the clients, but the buyout or the sale of the business or the revenue that's generated if another firm acquires the client, I also keep into consideration. Thus, what ends up happening, it's not just what the client invests in you, the product or service initially, but ongoing through a series of products or services. And also, I like to consider what happens after you sell the business or you transition those clients or some of those clients over to another service provider. I like to keep that in consideration. But for the sake of simplicity, we're going to look at it as follows. Let's say if you have 100 people who invest $10,000, congratulations, you would have made your first $1 million. Now, as mentioned earlier, I don't look at it as let's force them into a $10,000 package. Although clients can buy a $10,000 package, and I like to provide wonderful value. So that $10,000 package can be something that really is going to give them transformation, lasting change, or it could be a done for you service, something that you provide, you and your team. And so in IT consulting, for example, offering $10,000 packages is not uncommon. One could even say this is on the lower end side. 20,000, 30,000, 50,000. This is quite common depending on what you're offering and the size of the firm, etc. So let's just assume, for the sake of simplicity, 100 people invest $10,000. That will equal $1 million. Now, here are points to consider. Again, combining your way is the best way with lifetime client value. It's not about getting money from clients. That kind of mindset creates separation. It's about inviting clients into a transformational relationship where value is consistently created and received, and they benefit greatly from. And it could be transformational as in personal transformation or business transformation. And what I like to do in my IT business and consulting, even though it is transformational for their numbers, transformational for their business, is I also like to infuse personal transformation, because consider that the entrepreneur or the business owners, the teams, are also transforming. And the natural result of that is the numbers increasing. So the way I like to see it is it's not just about what we put into their business, the processes, the systems, the education, etc. But it's also about the individuals. The individual transformation I value as much as the business strategy, the techniques, the strategies, what we put in place in their business. I value as much as the individual transformation. Now, some might say one is more important than another. I don't see it as this versus that. I value both, because I have seen that entrepreneurs might have a lot of confidence and charisma and magnetism, but they might not know how to go about translating that into prospecting, client acquisition, lead generation, ongoing business. So there's consulting based on what actually works, not theory and conjecture that we put in, and they benefit greatly. Now, on the flip side, you could say there are entrepreneurs that know what to do. They've read a lot of books, they've taken a lot of courses, etc. But they don't know what their style is. Their style is their best style. Or they may be identified with particular beliefs of limitation, and no shame and condemnation. They can release that identification. That's why I like to combine personally transformation at a personal and business level in one complete offering. Nuances. If you would like to explore that, leave a question below. We can discuss if you have any questions in relation to what I'm sharing here. You can leave a question in the comments below, and then we can explore on an upcoming video, gladly. I genuinely love making these videos, and I genuinely love having these conversations, which again proves the point. I would not be a consultant. I would have not done an IT business. I would have not created a YouTube channel if I felt that it was not natural. There would have been something else I would have been involved with. It could have been, let's say, if my natural style was to have a brick and mortar business and just go about my brick and mortar business and never get into working with entrepreneurs one-on-one in a consulting space or videos, then great. That style would have been my best style. And that's what I would have done, because at the end of the day, follow your heart and intuition. Now, it just so happens to be that I love what I do, making these videos, working with entrepreneurs. And so it's not about getting money from clients. It's about transformation for their clients and business. Now, what naturally results in that is a lavish, steady, dependable income, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. Doing what you love to do, your way is the best way, while valuing lifetime client value. So clients invest, point number 2, because they're benefiting and evolving. As long as they continue to grow, have a wonderful time, have a wonderful experience through the relationship, they gladly reinvest. This is also true, and especially true, for mastermind programs, etc., continuity programs, communities. The value deepens and not diminishes over time. And this is where, I can go back to my previous IT clients. And this again proves the point as well, is you don't have to be perfect at this as in the way where we may think of it as perfectionism. You're already perfect now. Existence is perfection. The fact that you exist, congratulations, you are perfect as you are now. The manifestation of that is the art of entrepreneurship, the natural progression. So it appears that way. It appears as more and more so, yet you are already that. You are already that, which could sound like a paradox, is reconciled. I discussed this on my other channel. Now, the natural result of you doing what you love to do and benefiting people greatly is, and I mentioned I could do this with my IT business as well, but one doesn't have to be perfect at it. And by that I mean very specifically is the relationships that I had with my IT clients, I can go back to them. I could reach out to them. I can create a list of prospects and create additional products and services and offer. And many of them would gladly take me up on those particular offers. If not, we could explore through conversations and find another offer, maybe a referral partner, refer to them. I have wonderful relationships with everyone that I work with in the past, so they're more open to do business with me. But I don't actually do that, because you don't need to do that. You see, if you consider what we're talking about here, you'll find that you'll get so many prospects, so many leads, so many clients, that you don't need to fulfill on all these needs. You don't need to create way more businesses, etc. You can just do whatever to achieve your numbers, doing what you love to do. And then there are other businesses that provide those services, etc. You could even do a partnership if you would like, if you would really like to build a massive empire. That's really up to you. Your way is the best way. So you can achieve your numbers by doing what you love to do, valuing client relationships, lifetime client value, and considering that, hey, look, to make $1 million, it's 100 people that invest $10,000 in some shape or form. Or maybe they might not even invest it. You may get a referral fee. We'll talk about that in a moment. So they're benefiting greatly. The natural result of that is lifelong relationships with the clients, lifetime client value. And so we care deeply, point number 3, about their transformation. We focus on actual results and meaningful wins, celebrate their growth. This deepens trust and organically leads to longer engagement. Isn't it wonderful that over the course you can apply this, and relationships that you formed in the earlier stages of your journey, let's say you've been doing this for a while, they can be mutually beneficial over the long term. Point number 4, clients feel the difference when you're in flow. Why I teach make flow a priority, which is your natural way. There's many reasons We can get into thousands and thousands of reasons why I simplified it into one word, flow. And it's not just because I came up with this. You'll see it all throughout. I've been a consultant, as mentioned, for many years now. 2013, I've worked with thousands of businesses. And not only have I worked with thousands of businesses, but I love studying the entrepreneur. And so when you're in flow, the natural result of that is personal magnetism. Being as you are, the result of that is flow and personal magnetism. When you do what you love to do, simply put, follow your heart and intuition, do what you love to do. The way, when you're doing what you love to do, in the way you love doing it, that's the key. When you do what you love to do in the way that you love doing it, clients sense the difference and they come back for that energy. Remember the restaurant example that I gave earlier? Okay, so let's look at some potential scenarios. Now that we've talked about this, the natural result of valuing lifetime client value, and your way is the best way, is some of these combinations and permutations that we see emerge, that if we use our example of $10,000 and 100 clients, they naturally emerge in these various combinations. So scenario number 1. 2, so this is based on per client. We're looking at 3 scenarios per client, considering lifetime client value. And again, as mentioned, a lifetime client value is not necessarily once they're at this point and you can't do business with them. Consider, as I mentioned, I can reach out to my IT clients. I can reach out to the consulting clients that I had in the earlier stages of consulting. And even though those clients have generated $10,000 plus of revenue, it can continue to grow. So this is just to articulate the point, totaling $10,000 based on the calculation of 100 people investing $10,000 to equal $1 million. To articulate the point, scenario number 1, the client buys 2 $215 coaching calls, $500. 1 $200 home study program, $200. 6 months, they invest in a membership program that you have, which is $150. That's $900. They buy 2 workshops that you create at $2,000. That's $4,000. They buy one $5,000 coaching package that lasts 6 months. And also, you refer them to a vendor who gives you $400 for a referral fee. If you total that up, that's $11,000. So even an individual who sells a $200 home study program might not seem like a lot. Still, through the combination and permutation, lifetime client value generates $10,000. You know, I've been asked the question a lot. If you go over to onlinetrainingforentrepreneurs.com, why do you charge $147 for your mastermind service, considering that people invest thousands of dollars for similar kinds of masterminds and coaching? Why is it that you charge only $47 for your products? Well, number of reasons. If you're thinking from the perspective of when we value lifelong relationships and we also value lifetime client value, you can still achieve the numbers, the higher numbers, based on volume, based on a number of other nuances, which we can gladly explore. But just by factoring in, as mentioned, I've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs. I've seen this with myself in my businesses. By valuing relationships, by honoring your way, which is the best way, and valuing lifetime client value, we don't have to force ourselves to also force a client into buying something. Let's say, if using scenario 1, if they were forced to buy a $5,000 package and they said, you know what, I don't want to work with this person because they're too force-based and they don't sign up for the coaching package, we would have lost them as a client. But if we had an exploratory conversation, which is also what I talk about in this book, you have an exploratory conversation which can be done over a Zoom session, one-on-one over the phone or via email, and it's also happening through your videos. These videos, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, is an exploratory conversation. We're having an exploratory conversation. If through an exploratory conversation, it results in them buying 1 hour consulting with you, fine. 1 hour coaching, totally fine. Through that relationship, they may come back and buy the study program, then etc. All these things. Scenario number 2, they can buy one $5,000 6-month coaching package right out of the gate. Someone might think very short term and say, okay, they bought $5,000 coaching. Now, in order to make $1 million, if you're going to sell $5,000 coaching packages, you would acquire 200 people as clients, 200 clients, in order to make $1 million. But when we're factoring the various combinations of what can be offered and lifetime client value. So then in scenario 2, $2,000 workshop is also offered. So they become a coaching client. They benefit greatly, but they can also benefit from a workshop, an in-person workshop, $2,000. They also join a subscription service that's $60 a month for 12 months. That's $720. Now, let's say this is business consulting. I've done this a number of times. We joint venture now with this client. So they benefited greatly from your coaching. They have now grown their business and you see opportunity to partner with them. So you joint venture with them and you create an offer which then generates $5,000. So they get $2,500, you get $2,500, provided that you split 50-50. So the total lifetime client value thus far, as mentioned thus far, to articulate the point, is also $10,000, 220 actually, $10,220. When you combine the 5,000 plus 2,000 plus 720 and the 2,500. Now, scenario number 3. And this is not to say that you should do these things. This is just an exploratory conversation about possibilities that I have seen. And just by having these conversations, just by listening to this, as I did in the earlier stages when I was listening to podcasts, etc., and they wouldn't articulate these points. I felt it would be helpful if I heard these points. That's why I'm putting together this video as well. For that me that started out, it would have been beneficial to hear this. So I'm creating this for you and also someone who is in that same position, which may be you. Now, not to say you should do these things, but through combination, we can actually see how it equals $10,000. And again, if you acquire 100 clients, paying $10,000 over the course of the relationship, not necessarily upfront, that's $1 million. Scenario number 3, you can say there's more parts here. So they buy 12 months worth of $150 membership, monthly membership, which is $1,800. They attend 2 live events, and the tickets for the live events were $200, so that's $400. They buy a $200 home study program, which is $200. And then they buy 3 $250 coaching calls, that's $750. They attend 1 $2,000 workshop. They, through you referring them to another business, get a referral fee of $500, and you do that twice for various services. That's $1,000. And so then what happens is, again, if it's business consulting, you together create a monthly service offering together that you offer your audience and their audience, and the split of that is $60 a month for you. So for 12 months, you get $720 out of that deal. This $720 is generated as a joint venture. By that, it's meant that both of you are partnering and creating a monthly membership service in which then what's happening is through the split, you get $60 a month of this client acquired for 12 months, $720. Not this client, but the client that you together acquire as a result of your joint venture initiative. And now through this relationship, although we could say indirectly, $720 is added. And then there's also a done by you service that you offer to them, whatever it may be. You go over to their site, work with their team in some shape or form to put in some processes. They pay $3,130. That total is $10,000. So these are some examples. Now, as mentioned, it's not to say you should, must, or force yourself to do these things. Your way is the best way. And when we value lifetime client value, and see that there's a number of different offers that we can create, which again, I talk about in my book, not in a complicated way. It's not a very thick book. I condensed it. And why I can condense this is because I've had this kind of conversation thousands and thousands of times in various shapes and forms in consulting. And over the years, I've been able to refine it in a way that captures the nuances and also be able to go at it at an abstract level and a granular level if applicable. And speaking about granularity, if you would like to get granular, you can ask questions about whatever it is that we talked about. We can explore in upcoming videos. So through the combination of products, services, referrals, partnerships, etc., doing what you love to do and valuing lifetime client value, the natural result of that is the effortless way to a fortune, hence the title of this mind map. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.